The Roswell incident took place in the vicinity of Roswell, New Mexico, and is frequently seen as the turning point in UFO lore. Decades of conjecture and curiosity with the prospect of advanced life have been sparked by this incident. The television program UFO Hunters conducted an interview with Earl Fulford, an individual who was present at the crash site and participated in the cleanup operation. Earl, being one of the few surviving witnesses, shared intriguing details about the incident. He described the recovered material as remarkably lightweight, capable of springing back to its original form when compressed. During the show, the team presented various materials for comparison, including everyday foil and mylar foil. However, Earl immediately recognized that these materials did not match what he had retrieved from the crash site. He emphasized that the material he handled was virtually weightless and possessed a unique property of returning to its original shape, no matter how much it was manipulated. Earl expressed that he had never encountered anything like it before. Unbeknownst to Earl, the UFO Hunters team managed to recreate a material based on his description. When given the replicated material, Earl proclaimed that it closely resembled what he had encountered. He said the following: "This one feels more like the material. We could squeeze it and it would pop back. The thickness and weight are similar. It gives me chills down my spine." End quote. This revelation added an intriguing dimension to the investigation, shedding light on the extraordinary characteristics of the crashed object's material. When considering the Roswell incident, a significant number of individuals currently hold the belief that there is a considerable amount of undisclosed information surrounding this event. The Roswell Incident. During the summer of 1947, Mac Brazel, a ranch foreman from New Mexico, reported discovering unusual debris in an open field close to Roswell. The materials may be from a crashed alien spaceship described as a flying disc or flying saucer. This intriguing story quickly took shape. Sheepherder and cowboy William Mac Brazel lived in the southwest region of the United States. Mac's spouse and children resided in Tularosa, New Mexico, but his foster ranch foreman position required him to work miles away. Every evening, when he was working away from the family, he boarded at an old ranch house. Unbeknownst to him at the moment, Mac was going to see what would eventually become the most well-known UFO crash in history. A tremendous thunderstorm moved in one night in early July 1947. UFO historians have said that stories differ as to whether it was the 2nd or 4th of July. He heard several lightning bolts hitting the ground, but one struck particularly loudly, sounding more like an explosion. Mac and William D. Proctor, a neighbor, were examining the fences the following day to see if they needed any repairs or damage. They came upon a vast region that spanned two tiny hills divided by an arroyo and was covered in shiny fragments and bits of stuff they didn't recognize. Mac either collected some of the debris at that moment or returned later with his family to gather more of it. He put the material in a shed at the ranch home when they got back. Brazel made the decision to go to Chavez County Sheriff George Wilcox on July 6th or 7th, 1947, to inform him of the discovery. The base intelligence officer for Roswell Army Airfield, Major Jesse Marcel, was contacted by the sheriff. On Monday, July 7th, Major Marcel returned to the ranch with another man and Brazel. According to a press release issued on the 8th of July by Walter Haut, the public information officer at Roswell Army Airfield, members of the 509th Group had discovered a flying disc that had fallen on a property near Roswell. On July 8th, Brazel was interviewed by Jason Kellehin, a reporter for the Associated Press, and by a reporter from the Roswell Daily Record. His shot was taken by photographer Robin Adair, who published it on The Wire the next morning. The interview with the Record was released the following afternoon. Many have pointed out that although the first news announcement from the Army airfield in Roswell stated it happened in early July, he claims the initial encounter happened on June 14th. These tales demonstrate that Brazel is not the ill-mannered cowboy he always gave the impression of being. In order to avoid coming across as insane, he was hesitant to divulge more details about the purported crash locations. Compared to now, people were far less aware of unidentified objects. William H. Blanchard was the group's commanding officer. To talk with General Roger M. Ramey, He made a call to the 8th Air Force in Fort Worth, Texas. Blanchard was immediately instructed by Ramey to send the item to Fort Worth Army Airfield for analysis. Irving Newton, the base warrant officer, accepted General Ramey's assessment that the object was a weather balloon and its kite after arriving at the base. A radar reflector that makes it possible to track the weather balloon from the ground is known by the moniker kite. In a recent press statement, General Ramey called the device a weather balloon. The debris that was initially thought to have come from the UFO was photographed multiple times by Ramey's staff. Jesse Marcel, who flew to Fort Worth with the wreckage, later said that the items in the military photo were not the same as what he had delivered to them. This inconsistency could feed the theory of a government cover-up. The inhabitants of New Mexico went back to their regular lives as soon as this entire incident disappeared from the news cycle. It was not until much later that Jesse Marcel was interviewed by nuclear physicist and author Stanton T. Friedman in 1978. The tale Marcel told Mr. Friedman sparked a rising interest in what has turned out to be the most famous UFO incident in history. Hundreds of persons who were related to or claimed to be connected to the incident were interviewed over the course of the next 15 years by a number of people who were interested in learning more about the incident and UFOs in general. Friedman, Carl T. Flock, William Moore, and the collaborative work of Donald R. Schmidt and Kevin D. Randall are some of these researchers. These efforts were aided by the Freedom of Information Act, which allowed the researchers to review numerous previously unavailable documents. Numerous writers concluded that there had crashed one, possibly two, alien craft close to the region. They also believed that multiple aliens, some of whom were still alive, had been discovered and removed from the crash site. More significantly, they argued that there had been a massive cover-up by the government and military of the entire set of events. As a result of their work, the tale was included in numerous articles, publications, books, TV specials, and even a television film. The tale grew so popular over time that, by the mid-1990s, a lot of people thought the United States government was hiding the truth and that aliens were involved in a crash. More and more individuals started to question the government's viewpoint when fresh witnesses and accounts surfaced, as well as books and articles that started to be published around 1980 and later. A 1994 Air Force investigation that refuted every theory regarding the mysterious crash was the first official rebuke. Different writers and specialists developed different ideas based on which reports were accepted as true and which were rejected as untrue. However, the Roswell Incident, written by Charles Berlitz and William L. Moore and published in 1980, was one of the first significant publications about the incident and was published 11 years before various other works. Not listed in the credits, although Stanton Friedman made a significant contribution as well. More than 90 witnesses were interviewed in depth for the book. According to a comment from Jesse Marcel, the wreckage discovered at the crash scene was nothing made of this Earth. Witnesses who were not part of the original incident reported the material to be extremely robust and possessing properties not found in any other earthly substance, including weather balloons or comparable weather instruments. The incident also suggested that General Ramey and other military personnel replaced the initial photos of Marcel with the debris with a conventional weather instrument. The original debris was never made available for inspection by third parties. The book also covered in-depth military cover-ups, including efforts to tarnish Mac Brazel's first views by intimidating and imprisoning people. Barney Barnett's account was among the other noteworthy ones. Friends said he had often mentioned a flying saucer accident and alien bodies around 150 miles west of the Foster Ranch, even though he had passed away years earlier. Barnett claims that on July 3, 1947, he and a party of archaeologists discovered the crash site of an alien flying disc and the unfortunate crash victims. Military forces moved rapidly to remove them from the area. Barnett's account suggested that there might have been another collision, or that maybe some of the wreckage from the Barnett crash had ended up strewn across the Foster Ranch's arroyo. In 1992, Stanton Friedman and Don Berliner published Crash at Corona, which catapulted him back to prominence in the UFO community. Their stance was supported by material they found, which included records from the Majestic 12 repository. The Majestic 12, also referred to as MJ-12, was the purported codename for a covert group of military, scientific, and government officials. By presidential executive order, it was established. Their investigation of the Roswell incident was their only motivation for existing. Several Canadian declassified documents from 1978 revealed the Majestic 12's existence. A set of fictitious documents that emerged in the United States in 1984 further complicated the situation for scholars trying to piece together the full tale of the Roswell incident. Additionally, they made reference to the Majestic 12, which the Federal Bureau of Investigation discovered to be wholly untrue despite being excellent replicas of real papers. The events in Crash at Corona follow a similar plot, although this time Brazel is placed in military quarantine for up to a week before he speaks with the Roswell newspaper about his revised story, which he was given by the government. Along with adding a new story from Gerald Anderson, Crash at Corona moves the Barnett narrative closer to Socorro and describes the crash of a flying saucer carrying 4 alien passengers, one of whom survived. In order to address the issues of debris and extraterrestrial body recoveries, the US Air Force released 2 reports in the 1990s. They clarified that the debris came from a high-altitude balloon that was a component of Project Mogul, a top-secret experiment meant to find evidence of nuclear and missile activities coming from the Soviet Union. Furthermore, they disregarded the reports of extraterrestrial recoveries by claiming that they were a combination of hoaxes, actual military incidents involving troops, and military projects employing dummies in place of actual personnel. The studies served as the first formal rebuttal to the expanding narrative of alien recovery that began to take shape in the late 1970s. However, before the Air Force papers appeared, independent skeptics like Philip J. Klass and Robert Todd had already voiced their reservations concerning UFOs. Over the years, hundreds of people connected to the Roswell incident have been interviewed by different researchers. Nevertheless, only a small number of them were present at the sites, and even fewer handled the debris. Just 41 of those were classified as primary or secondary witnesses to the events in and around Roswell or at the Fort Worth Army Airfield, and another 23 were considered reasonably thought to have seen physical evidence, debris recovered from the Foster Ranch. Only 7 people, according to Flock, have suggested that the debris is connected to extraterrestrial life. The most challenging thing has probably been determining the reliability of sources claiming to have seen aliens. Either the claimants made a lot of inconsistent comments, sometimes even contradicting themselves, or the accounts were second-hand. Furthermore, a few interviewees were elderly, prone to confusion, or had trouble recalling specific incidents. All of the respondents were impacted by the temporal gap between 1947 and the 1970s and 1980s. Attempting to recall every last detail of the occurrences would take a lot of time. Jesse Marcel's own contradictory reports were arguably one of the worst developments. He began by stating that the items found were not of this world. That kind of statement was largely responsible for the initial buzz at Roswell. Subsequently, Timothy Printy revealed that specialists and researchers alike recognized the item Marcel had earlier claimed was unquestionably a part of the first wreckage they collected as belonging to a weather-type balloon. Upon learning of this, Marcel altered his account, claiming that the material did not belong to the collection of items they had found. Skeptic of UFOs Roger G. Todd noted that Marcel had frequently fabricated and rewritten his account. Marcel, for instance, once claimed to be a decorated military pilot with numerous kills. That turned out to be untrue later on, raising questions about his credibility in relation to the Roswell incident. The lengthy lapse between the actual occurrences and the interviews that attempted to piece them together is another feature of the Roswell incident. The fame surrounding the Roswell incident tends to skew people's answers and memories. Similar speculation that the supernova petroglyph at Chaco Canyon might actually be a record of a supernova occurred in the northern region of the state. Nonetheless, at first, people thought that the Zunies from the area used it as a place to observe the sun. It's interesting to note that the Zunies started using the supernova record story in their interview responses. They began modifying their responses to match the interviewer's inquiries. It's possible that this similar effect had an impact on the Roswell interview subjects. In 2007, Donald Schmitt and his collaborator Tom Carey released Witness to Roswell. Here, they concentrate on the first report of a recovered flying saucer. According to them, they have at least 600 individuals who are directly or indirectly connected to the events and Roswell and who firmly believe the original story of the flying saucer recovery. They also detail previously unreported reports of aliens and alien recoveries, one of which was provided by Walter Haut, the author of the news statement that was first written during the initial set of events. They also proposed the hypothesis that on Thursday, July 3, 1947, in the evening, there was a crash. Additionally, they contend that Brazel transported debris to Corona and showed it to a number of locals in a pub, shop, and other places. Furthermore, he brought several down to Capitan, and on July 4th, some landed up at a nearby rodeo. Before Brazel announced the discovery on the 6th of July, a number of people claimed to have seen the debris field and taken numerous items. The mementos Brazel gave out to passers-by were among the items the military attempted to retrieve after learning about the wreckage. Ranch houses were looted and destroyed. Subterranean cold storage food vendors had their whole inventory removed, and the hardwood floors of animal shelters were pried free plank by plank. It has been reported that some occurrences resemble those in previous literature. The notion regarding the recovery of a second alien crash at the Foster residence, however, makes a big difference. According to Schmidt and Carey, Brazel discovered this second location a few days after uncovering the debris field, and it was the discovery of the second site that motivated him to notify the Roswell authorities about his discovery. Furthermore, they assert that Major Marcel saw alien bodies. Not one of the previously mentioned books made this assertion. Marcel's intelligence team included a military technical officer and a relative, both of whom testify that Marcel observed alien bodies for a brief period of time. The book devotes large portions to new testimonies from multiple witnesses in support of the theory that alien bodies and craft were found at the Foster Ranch and at another location, and that the bodies and craft were examined in a hangar and hospital at the base before being flown out in containers. The book includes more details about Walter Haut, the man who wrote the original press release that announced a flying disc that was distributed to media outlets on July 8, 1947. It appears that he acknowledged considerably greater knowledge and involvement in the Roswell occurrences in an affidavit he made in 2002. He claimed to have seen alien bodies, the aircraft itself, and proof of a cover-up. Haut departed from this life in 2005. Elias Benjamin, an MP stationed at the site, provided another intriguing first-hand narrative in the book. He claims he was assigned to watch on aliens being moved from a hangar to the Roswell Hospital. Additionally, family members of Miriam Bush, the base's chief medical officer's secretary, recounted experiences she had of being escorted into a hospital examination room where extraterrestrial corpses were arranged on stretchers. According to these two tales, one of the aliens was still alive. The book also details another event in which Lieutenant Joseph Montoya of New Mexico was present at the site. When a frightened Montoya told a strange tale of witnessing 4 bodies at the base hangar, one of them still alive, a local family called the Anayas picked him up at the base. Walter Haut provided his signature on an affidavit detailing his own observations of bodies and the allegation of a cover-up that was published in Witness to Roswell. The story made a lot of noise in the UFO community. Some were glad he gave them the information because it supported their theory that aliens were there during the Roswell tragedy. His claims were questioned by detractors. UFO researcher Dennis G. Balthazar was one skeptic. He and Wendy Connors conducted an on-camera discussion with Haut in 2002. This opinion was reinforced when co-author Schmidt said that Haut had not really panned the original affidavit, but had instead fabricated one for him to sign. According to Schmidt, Haut's statements to Schmidt and his co-author Tom Carey over a number of years served as the basis for it. Balthazar claimed that since neither Schmidt nor Carey was there when the affidavit was signed, the entire signing process was questionable. Moreover, the identities of the witnesses who were there were never disclosed. Nevertheless, Haut claims to have seen an alien craft and at least one body in a hangar on the base in both the affidavit and the video interview. Additionally, he claims that he witnessed General Ramey start a cover-up at a staff meeting. Julie Schuster, the director of the International UFO Museum in Roswell and the daughter of Haut, stated simply that Schmidt had written the testimony based on the conversations that she and Carey had over a lengthy period of time with her father. She said that after reviewing the affidavit with her father, he did not want to make any changes, in a September 2007 article for the Mutual UFO Network newsletter. His signature on the affidavit was therefore verified by the visitor and a notary public, who both witnessed the signing. The Guy Hottle memo. Guy Hottle, an FBI agent, filed a memo in 1950 regarding an Air Force investigator's report. The report detailed the recovery of 3 distinct extraterrestrial craft and their occupants in New Mexico. 3 so-called flying saucers were discovered. They had a diameter of around 50 feet and were characterized as circular, with an elevated area in the center. 3 human-shaped people, each about 3 feet tall, were seated in each craft and were clothed in metallic cloth of a very fine texture. There was conjecture that the alien craft's navigational systems and controls were accidentally interfered with by high-powered radar, leading to the crash. The memo itself is dated March 22, 1950, with the most specific location given as New Mexico, even though no dates are indicated. According to what he stated, the Air Force investigator who presented the data did not attempt any further evaluation. The FBI made this paper available on their website on April 2011. It has been linked by a number of sources to the Roswell incident. However, a number of sources, including a 1952 story, have proven that this document was exposed as a forgery many years ago. Despite the original photographs of the craft and the witness sightings over several days prior to the recovery of the unidentified flying object, all describing a flying saucer-shaped craft, the United States military would later provide a statement claiming that the recovered aircraft was nothing more than a downed weather balloon that was being used in a clandestine operation that would later be declassified in the early 1970s, known as Project Mogul, a supposedly top-secret military project by the US Army Air Forces involving the use of sensitive microphones flown on high-altitude balloons, of which had the primary purpose in use of long-distance detection of sound waves generated by Soviet atomic bomb tests. Unfortunately for the United States military, however, there are tremendous holes in their manufactured weather balloon cover story, such as the fact that the Air Force was not aware of the downed craft's location until alerted by the foreman of the ranch, but would later make claims that the weather balloon contained sensitive radio technologies that could easily have allowed for the craft to have been located via radiolocation, or the fact that efforts to listen in on worldwide nuclear testing sounds would be more accurate with the positioning of the balloons having been stationed much further west than where the supposed Roswell weather balloon was claimed to have been stationed at. Additionally, photographs would later surface showcasing Major Jesse A. Marcel of the Group Intelligence Office, posing alongside the original downed aircraft, of which would later be replaced with artificial debris at a later time. Witness testimony would later corroborate the claims of a government-involved cover-up, and a manufactured story, as Bill Brazel, would later come forward to claim that his father, Mac Brazel, was the victim of witness intimidated on the part of the United States military after having been incarcerated after talking to UFO researchers Charles Berlitz and William Moore. Although rumors of recovered bodies would continue over the next several decades, it was not until the 28th of August back in 1995 that evidence would surface throughout the UFO community when a private collector by the name of Ray Santilli purchased high-quality leaked footage of a 17-minute video taken by the United States government that showed the autopsy of a body in vivid detail and released the footage to the public without restriction. Unfortunately, to this day, Santilli has promised to keep the identity of the people involved in the transaction of the film a closely guarded secret, so as to not risk legal repercussions or retaliations from the United States military on the potential whistleblower. Unfortunately, this has led many skeptics into claiming that the entirety of the footage has been faked, despite evidence from unbiased third parties pointing to their legitimacy. One such example came from noted forensic pathology Cyril Wecht, who claimed that the autopsy procedures were incredibly authentic and that the removed organs and movement of the coagulated blood appeared to be perfectly genuine in all aspects. Additionally, testimony from Oscar award-winning special effects makeup artist Stan Winston claimed that the effects used in the autopsy footage were far too realistic to have been done on a small budget, and would be a complicated task to replicate for even a major Hollywood studio with $1 million budget to reproduce during the 90s, let alone impossible to have been made during the 1940s. Even more compelling, Dr. Kit Green, a research scientist working for the Central Intelligence Agency, would later release an 11-page memo report that detailed the validity of the video, as he had been told by the agency that the video was not only completely legitimate, but was to be studied for gathering information on extraterrestrial creatures. At the time Dr. Kit Green had viewed the footage, however, it was before the video had gone public by Ray Santilli, providing supporting evidence that a government whistleblower was at the center of the released footage. UFO crashes represent a tangible intersection between the known world and the mysterious universe beyond. This duality of fear and fascination fuels our interest. On one hand, the idea of an advanced extraterrestrial civilization crashing on Earth evokes fear of the unknown and potential threats. On the other hand, it stirs excitement and wonder about what such a discovery could reveal. The quest for understanding and truth is another psychological driver behind the interest in UFO crashes. These events, often shrouded in secrecy and controversy, challenge us to uncover hidden realities and question official narratives. The desire to know the truth, to separate fact from fiction, compels many to delve into the details of alleged UFO crashes, scrutinizing evidence and testimonies in search of clarity. UFO crashes have become modern myths, deeply embedded in popular culture. Iconic incidents like Roswell have inspired countless books, movies, television shows, and documentaries. These stories resonate with age-old themes of exploration, discovery, and the confrontation with the unknown. They serve as contemporary legends that reflect our collective hopes, fears, and curiosities about the universe. The secrecy often surrounding UFO crashes feeds into broader societal distrust of governmental and authoritative institutions. When official explanations are perceived as incomplete or deceptive, they foster theories. These theories provide alternative narratives that challenge mainstream accounts and suggest hidden truths. The intrigue of these theories lies in their ability to offer plausible explanations for unexplained phenomena while critiquing the transparency and honesty of authorities. The prospect of recovering advanced extraterrestrial technology from a UFO crash is a tantalizing idea for scientists and technologists. If such technology exists, it could revolutionize our understanding of physics, engineering, and materials science. The potential to reverse engineer alien artifacts to advance human technology captures the imagination of researchers and innovators alike. Investigating UFO crashes also aligns with the scientific spirit of exploration and discovery. The possibility of encountering evidence of extraterrestrial life challenges existing scientific paradigms and opens new avenues for research. It encourages scientists to think beyond the confines of Earth and consider the broader cosmic context of life and intelligence. UFO crashes are often viewed through the lens of national security. The recovery and study of unknown aerial phenomena have implications for a nation's defense capabilities and technological edge. The potential military applications of advanced technologies recovered from UFO crashes add a layer of geopolitical intrigue and competition as nations strive to secure and control such resources. The presence of unidentified aircraft in restricted or sensitive airspace poses a direct challenge to national defense. These airspace violations can potentially indicate espionage or reconnaissance activities by foreign adversaries. UFOs that evade radar detection and exhibit advanced maneuverability complicate the ability of defense systems to secure national borders and airspace. UFOs that are observed near military installations, nuclear facilities, or during training exercises raise significant security concerns. The ability of these objects to approach critical infrastructure without being intercepted highlights potential vulnerabilities in national defense systems. The unexplained nature of these phenomena necessitates heightened vigilance and the development of strategies to protect military assets from unknown threats. The presence of UFOs in controlled airspace represents a risk to civil aviation. Pilots and air traffic controllers rely on precise tracking and clear communication to maintain safety. Unidentified objects that do not follow established flight paths or respond to communication attempts create potential collision hazards, endangering both civilian and military aircraft. UFO sightings can disrupt air traffic control operations, leading to delays and diversions. When air traffic controllers are faced with unidentified objects on radar, they must prioritize safety by redirecting aircraft to avoid potential encounters. This not only affects the efficiency of air travel, but also places additional strain on air traffic control systems. UFOs often exhibit flight characteristics and technological capabilities that surpass current human-made aircraft. These include rapid acceleration, sudden changes in direction, and the ability to hover without visible propulsion. If these objects are of foreign origin, they could represent significant advancements in aerospace technology. Understanding and countering such technology is crucial for maintaining a technological edge in defense. The unexplained nature of UFOs necessitates comprehensive intelligence gathering and analysis. Security agencies must investigate the origins, capabilities, and intentions of these objects. This involves collecting data from radar systems, pilot reports, satellite imagery, and other sources. The goal is to determine whether these phenomena pose a threat and to develop countermeasures if necessary. Public sightings of UFOs can lead to widespread speculation and fear. If the government fails to provide clear information or explanations, it can result in public panic and a loss of trust in authorities. Managing public perception and maintaining transparency while ensuring national security is a delicate balance. The appearance of UFOs in or near the airspace of multiple countries can strain diplomatic relations. Countries may accuse each other of covert surveillance or unauthorized incursions. Establishing international protocols for reporting and investigating UFO sightings is essential to prevent misunderstandings and promote cooperative security measures. Given the global nature of UFO sightings, international cooperation is crucial for effective monitoring and response. Sharing data and research findings with allies and global partners can enhance collective understanding and improve defensive capabilities. Joint efforts can also help identify patterns and commonalities in UFO encounters. Developing international protocols for UFO sightings can standardize the response to these phenomena. This includes agreed-upon procedures for reporting sightings, investigating incidents, and sharing information. Such protocols can reduce the risk of misinterpretation and promote a coordinated approach to addressing potential threats. The debate over UFO crashes often intersects with broader discussions about government transparency and public disclosure. Many advocate for the declassification of information related to UFO incidents, arguing that the public has a right to know about potential extraterrestrial encounters. This movement reflects a demand for greater openness and accountability in handling phenomena that could have profound implications for humanity. One of the reasons UFO crashes continue to captivate us is the enduring lack of conclusive evidence. Despite numerous reports and alleged sightings, definitive proof of extraterrestrial involvement remains elusive. This ambiguity fuels ongoing curiosity and investigation as people strive to fill the gaps in our understanding. The enduring mystery of UFO crashes also lies in the possibility of new discoveries. Each new report or piece of evidence holds the potential to rewrite our understanding of the universe and our place within it. The hope that the next discovery could provide the breakthrough we seek keeps the public engaged and invested in the topic. The fascination with UFO crashes is multifaceted, encompassing psychological, cultural, scientific, and socio-political dimensions. These incidents captivate our imagination and challenge our understanding of reality, driving us to seek truth, explore new frontiers, and question official narratives. As long as the mysteries surrounding UFO crashes remain unsolved, they will continue to intrigue and inspire, reflecting our deepest curiosities and aspirations about the universe and our place within it. Personal experiences and eyewitness accounts play a crucial role in sustaining interest in UFOs. When individuals report sightings or encounters, their stories add a human dimension to the phenomenon, making it more relatable and compelling. The consistency of certain details across different accounts can be particularly intriguing, suggesting a commonality that invites further investigation. The UFO phenomenon also creates a sense of community and belonging for those who believe in or have experienced sightings. UFO enthusiasts form groups, attend conferences, and participate in online forums, finding solidarity and shared purpose in their interest. This sense of community reinforces belief and interest in the phenomenon.